League points aren't adding up right now. However, the club's plans to spend big is not stopping anytime soon, as today, my friends, we discuss the club's ambitious plans in the transfer market for 2024. And boy, are we looking at some serious superstars to sign for next season. So my friends, hit that like button if you guys are excited for more signings, or if you're sick and tired of us signing more players, let us know below. But before we get into anything, my friends, if you're still planning on buying any of this season's new training kits, home kits, away kits, or new club range, I am your guy. Use discount code NINI10 to get 10% off your final order, and you'll find links below if you're hoping to buy any vaporware kits or any of the new sponsor kits now that have finally been released. So as I said, links below in the description. To start with things, let's discuss what is going on surrounding Andrey Santos' loan spell at Nottingham Forest. Currently, he is one of our biggest failures last summer, as we did not secure the best loan move for Andrey Santos. Well, today, my friends, we are getting some insight behind what is going down in terms of how Santos feels right now and why Forest aren't using him currently, based on Brazilian reports. Now, as we know, since Forest signed Santos on loan, they then added Sangare and Dominguez, two 25-year-olds, quality midfield players near the end of the transfer window, and that has dramatically cut game time for Andrey Santos. Brazilian reports reveal that Santos currently is feeling bothered by his current situation at Nottingham Forest. He isn't complaining though, and he is still training hard, and he is impressing the management at the club too. However, what could be the main reason as to why Nottingham Forest don't feel the incentive now to use Andrey Santos over players that they've actually bought? I'm sure you guys can take the wildest of guesses. I'll give you guys a second. Obviously, he isn't playing because he's a loan player that Forest do not own. And why would they invest in a player they don't own when they have players already on long-term contracts right now that the club actually owns? Like, my lord, it happens all the time. This is one of the main risks when it comes to loan deals, especially in the Premier League. And the cynical part of me feels like to be only loaned Santos to Forest because they paid more money. Lyon and Lisbon really wanted to get Santos on loan last summer. It's a shame that he didn't find himself there. Fingers crossed that he leaves Forest in January at least and continues his career now, because listen, for all the hype last season where we tried desperately to bring this guy in last January to become part of our squad, since then, we've now signed Lavia, we've signed Ugo Juku, and currently they are ahead of him, alongside guys like Caicedo, Gallagher, Enzo Fernandez. I'm looking at him, I'm looking at Caicedo, and I feel like, where is the long-term future for either player now? If our transfer plan is dependent on signing these guys very early on when they're young, it's not going to last and it won't work if we aren't showing to prospective new players that we have their best interests in our hearts and in our mind as well too. And I feel like if you're wasting a season at a club like Nottingham Forest, what is that doing for your long-term future, considering the competition at this club right now? Now, fingers crossed his situation does change at Forest. When they lost 3-0 to Liverpool, he came on for the final 12 minutes and he did impress. And Steve Cooper actually said, with Mangala having received a yellow card, it was an opportunity to give Andrey some minutes. He's been waiting patiently, training well enough, so we will see where he goes from here now. So, fingers crossed, things start to change for the player, but it's a reminder that we have to be a lot more careful when it comes to loaning out our young talents now. Because listen, if the whole plan, as I keep saying, is to buy young and literally just hoard all these talents, we're wasting the transfer strategy if we're not giving these guys the best environments for them to grow and play. So that is the first story out of the way, my friends. Let's now discuss the biggest transfer story since the window's ended. So now we turn our attentions to Spanish reports, most notably from publication Sport, and they reveal that Florian Wirtz's destiny and future is set to be in the Premier League, with us being the main favourites to sign him next year. Now, you might be wondering, Nini, why exactly are Spanish reports confirming this? Well, Barcelona have shown heavy interest in Wirtz for a while, and Sport revealed that Wirtz has now been swayed to move to the Premier League over going to Barcelona. So this is where the news is actually coming from. The report confirms that we have been speeding up our contacts with Leverkusen to make sure that we get the full cooperation from Wirtz to sign him next summer. And Leverkusen would want around 80 million euros to sell Wirtz next year. The report mentions that we have an excellent relationship with Bayer Leverkusen, of course signing Kai Havertz, even though it was a different board at the time. However, there was good relations when Hudson-Odoi moved to Leverkusen last season. Right now, Wirtz is on absolute fire in the Bundesliga. Easily one of the best attacking players, stats, 4 goals, 8 assists, and he is playing in a 10 role and an attacking mid role and a second striker role. Wirtz isn't necessarily one of these classic 10 style players because he does have flexibility playing out wide. He can play further forward and he can play deeper as a more advanced player in midfield. So, the guy works very hard off the ball. He is no slouch on the ball. And these are the type of qualities that we're looking towards to help us with our efforts over many seasons ahead. Oh, it's a very interesting story, and these are massive claims coming out from Spain. And a lot of times, sometimes, there must be truth behind the story, yeah, because it's quite obvious that Wirtz will be leaving at the end of the season. And I think for us, it has been revealed, and in terms of his profile, I do believe that this is the type of player that the squad needs. I mean, look at the benefits we've received from signing a Cole Palmer, someone that is like a multi-dimensional threat on the ball, off the ball, with the ball, etc, etc. And I feel like for big clubs like us, where our main issue is struggling against teams that park the bus, we need more players who are better in tighter areas with their footwork that can open up space and offer more multi-dimensional threats. And I think this is what Florian Wirtz offers in absolute abundance. He can score, and this guy can create through everything from opening spaces with his 1v1 skill, from like playing in tight areas, driving through opponents, through balls in between lines, through balls over the top, crossing, set pieces, match winning moments. And to do all of this at 20 years old, it's exceptional. However, though, there is another club that have been following the player, and that is Bayern Munich. You might be wondering, why are Bayern in particular looking at a Wirtz? They already have Musiala. Well, my friends, if you cast your minds back to my videos near the end of the transfer window, the reports coming out around Musiala, they aren't fake, they're real. Ideally, he would be our main superstar player that we'd love to sign next summer. And there is a bit of like an okay for Musiala, who is open now to returning back to London. However, let's keep things real. If we can't offer Champions League football, if we flop again, naturally that's going to ruin any opportunities to sign one of the best, if not the best young player in the world right now, in my opinion. And is it any surprise that if we can't get our main guy, we'll turn our attention to Wirtz? So in my opinion, I feel like the futures of Musiala and Wirtz are intrinsically tied. If Bayern do not secure the contract extension, this means there's 2 years left on Musiala's existing contract, and this is the prime time to sell. If Musiala goes, there's no way that Bayern won't be signing Wirtz. So let's see what happens, my friends. Still though, I know what you guys are feeling, Nini. Like, listen, the transfer news used to be exciting. It's not that exciting when it doesn't translate into us getting more points in the league, and I fully understand that, I fully respect that, and I fully agree too. But I'm only talking about what has been discussed prior. And I'm going to give you guys an example of this. Obviously, our sporting directors were interviewed on the club's official website like a month and a half ago, and they did confirm the fact that they are preparing now for 2 transfer windows ahead. So we already know that we'll be signing in January and next summer, and we still haven't finished completely fine-tuning the squad. So right now, you're looking at players like Raheem Sterling, Conor Gallagher, Ian Maatsen, possibly Armando Broja, and maybe a few others as potential players that could be sold and moved on, so we can complete our squad in our director's image. And I mentioned the director's image, not the manager's image, because I feel like if Pochettino had much influence, maybe we'd be signing some more experience to add to the team, which we definitely aren't doing anytime soon. I have so many thoughts and opinions on the story. Like, if I focus solely on the story, it could be like 30 minutes long. So I'm going to keep my thoughts for future stories if we get more context and insight behind the story. But right now, Florian Wirtz, or in my opinion, we want to sign a superstar attacking player next season. And players like Wirtz and Musiala are the type of players that you should hope and expect we can secure. So my friends, that's the second story out the way. Share your thoughts and opinions. And right now, let's end things on another big story. And we discuss the talented Valentin Barco of Boca Juniors. Now, if you guys are football hipsters, or if you guys just love, like, you know, researching and understanding the next best players who are coming out, I'm sure you guys have definitely heard of Valentin Barco for his exceptional attacking abilities playing as a left back or even a left wing back, left mid, left wing for Boca Juniors, because this guy looks like an exceptional talent, attacking from deep, exceptional skills 1v1, exceptional pace, very good dribbling skills. And is it any surprise that big clubs like us are turning towards the type of players that have those types of multi-dimensional abilities in their game? For example, if you have a left back, if he can dribble like a winger, that could open up more possibilities against weaker teams. And I feel like a lot of big teams currently are going for more like technically accomplished fullbacks and wingbacks to add to their squad. So my friends, let's discuss where these reports are coming from. They have been coming out from Argentina and again today from Italy, because Barco is being monitored by many big clubs. Most importantly, Juventus and Man City, but it's been reported that Brighton are currently leading the race to sign him during the next January window. So let's see what happens. Regardless of all the competition, we are not being put off from trying to sign him, because we see him as our left back for next year. Not this window, but the summer window ahead. And I guess it makes a bit of sense, as I guess the left back area in our squad right now, it can go so many different ways. We know that Ben is constantly injured, and you'd imagine that the club may be thinking long term about, okay, can we trust him for the next 2-3 years? On the other hand, there are doubts around the future surrounding Maatsen and Cucurella. We nearly allowed Cucurella to go to Man United during the summer window. He's coming back now, and obviously with Ian Maatsen, we have extended his contract by a further year, but Maatsen has still not agreed to signing a long-term deal with the club, and I think that's for very good reason, because obviously we're only doing that for business reasons, to like maintain their monetary value in the market so we can sell them for big money. I mean, we nearly accepted a 30 million bid from Burnley near the end of the window, only for Maatsen to turn that down. So I don't blame him for not feeling confident about his long-term future here, because when the guy does play, he isn't even playing in his best position as a left back, and that's kind of crazy to me. Hopefully it changes. Probably not. If he plays today against Blackburn and isn't starting as a left back, then that tells you exactly how Pochettino views the player. Potentially, we may be back in the market to sign another left back. But I guess what I find interesting is that we're going for a very attack-minded left back like Barco. And it's like, if we're not even really utilizing an attacking left back we have in the squad already in Ian Maatsen, you know, what confidence do I get that Pochettino will feel, okay, let me use an attacking left back for next season now? It's quite obvious that Poch feels like we are physically weak. There's a reason why he's been playing guys like Cole and Co as a left back this season. I feel like sometimes the theory behind signing these players and the reality behind actually using them under the management isn't necessarily like cohesive at this point in time. It's not really matching right now. Let's see what happens. But listen, I think this Barco kid is very talented. I'm sure you guys have seen so many comps and highlight clips already about the player. Around the player, I mean, he can invert, he can overlap. He gives me Cancelo vibes in some of his 1v1 skills and ability, bombs forward constantly, and that is really encouraged in Boca Juniors' tactical system. But again, it goes down to what I say. Just because he's encouraged to bomb forward left, right and centre, would the same thing happen here? Yes, Ben has played this like left back, left wing role at the club, and maybe Barco would excel there down to a T. But when someone like Ian Maatsen can also do the same thing, isn't being used in those capacities, it does make me question sometimes, okay, where is this unity between our manager and the directors signing players together? Because I feel like right now, that is the balance that is kind of needed, right? So let's see what happens. I think this Barco kid is exceptional. I'm sure you guys are seeing his clips right now. So share your thoughts and opinions behind the story, my friends. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's news video. Share your thoughts on Florian Wirtz. Is this the guy you hope we sign next year? And of course, I'll see you guys later tonight for the watch along and review for our game against Blackburn. So I'm Nini FC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later. Cool.